I lost a little bit of footage on this video doing the brakes on this 1978 Ford Bronco. We first started by pulling off the brake booster mount, and all this linkage in here. It was locked up tight with rust. The booster was locked up and the linkage was locked up. So first we pulled that and got it rebuilt. So here's that. Got the brake booster off the truck, got it on the vise. I couldn't get this nut or this nut off when it was on the truck, so ended up pulling this whole bracket off the firewall, brought it into the garage. So I just got this pulled off, and there's just a massive amount of caked on rust in there. So glad I got the new one ordered. I think it was about $80, so money well spent, I think. So I'm going to work on getting this brake lever all apart, and then we'll be able to put it on the new one. You can see some more serious rust in here, so I'll chip that out. I might need to take a sanding wheel to some of it. I can see it's pretty bad. Got the linkage off. The linkage is in far rougher shape than I thought it would be. So there's a sleeve that goes in here. I can cut this off and put a new bushing on, and then the sleeve will ride like this side, but I'm gonna see about getting parts off one of my parts trucks. All right, another day. Not sure where I left off. Here's the insert for the part of the brake. It's got these bushings on it. I don't know if they're graphite. I don't know if it's just metal on metal, but for them to slide in easily. Fits inside here. I think that's just for oil in the center, but this side is plenty good. This side is plenty bad. So I bought a, I think it's 3/8 pipe. I'm gonna drill it out so this rides nicely in there, cut it up, weld it on here, fix it. All right, so the weld is drilled off of there. Don't mind the smoking, I just sprayed some WD-40 in there. So gonna lop off the threads, lop off a section that's the same width or so of the bracket here. And I might punch this out, might not. I'll decide how it fits. Got it ground down. Looks like there's some sort of sleeve. So I'm gonna drill the new piece out and just weld that sleeve. I'll just weld right along the edge there. Should be good enough to hold it into place. Well, I was gonna weld it. I got my welder right there, but I decided to just leave them in there as spacers. It gives it a little bit of play, which is the same as the other shaft has, the part that attaches to the booster, and it's moving very free. So I think what I'm gonna do is just put a healthy dose of anti-seize on there, and then wire brush this, clean it up, and reinstall it. Getting the brake booster all bolted up, it's going on a lot easier than it came off. So I got 2 bolts in tightened. We're gonna come around to the other side, and I just been using this long ratchet with a wobble at the end. I got 2 more back there to put on, and then we can look at adjusting the push rod on it. All right, the brake booster is installed and the master cylinder is installed. It's not tightened completely because I still have to tighten down the pedal, and I might have to break that free to adjust the push rod. But let's take a look on the inside what we got for fluid. Okay, so we got a little bit of rust on the cap. Looking in here, both are full, which lead me to believe that it's not in terrible shape. Somewhat transparent or translucent at least, but so we'll obviously need new fluid, but I think we'll be able to test the brake system and see if anything is leaking. And so this one is for the fronts, this one's for the rears. So far they're both full. We'll put the cap back on and we will do a pressure test with the foot pedal and see if any lines blow off. After a bit of a jolt, the brake pedal broke free. I'm not sure the master cylinder is rebounding. All right, after letting it run a little bit, using the brake booster, found a leak. This line was sitting in the mud on the bottom, so it's possible it has a wear spot through it, but regardless, we're gonna need to take it apart and kind of inspect what's going on. Made a pretty big mess in just a little bit of time, so definitely gonna have to go through the lines, which kind of sucks, but hey, it's all part of the fun, right? Getting some of the brake lines hooked up. So this is the rubber line of the rear axle. Got it set up into place, got it into the new line, got the clip installed. So I need to make 2 rear brake lines for the Ford 9-inch, and then the rears will be all ready to bleed. All new brake lines are in from the proportioning valve all the way back to the rear end. And then we left the rubber, so that's the same rubber line. I guess it's the breather. This is the rubber line here. New brake line out to the drum. Another new brake line out to that drum. So this axle had brand new brakes on it, and I stole the brand new brakes for the front axle. So every single brake pad is new, every single brake drum is new, every single rotor is new. We kept the same calipers, but the brake lines are completely new from the proportioning valve back. Here we are a few weeks later, still working on these brakes. Today's task is going to be get this master cylinder off, get the lines off, bench bleed the new one, put the new one on, and then we should be good to go on all brakes. I kept the proportioning valve. The front brake lines are all going to stay as they are until this thing is driving around and we know what works, what doesn't work. So put this on, and then all we'll need to do is bleed the brake system. Bleeding the master now. It's getting a little harder. Now, I didn't clamp it real hard on this. I mean, you can see it just still moves really easily. It's just barely locking in there. So I can keep pushing on it. Only missing part to this brake system is this last bleeder. Pulled it off the circus truck, so I'm gonna get this on now. I'm here by myself today, so I'm not gonna be able to bleed them today, but they are ready to bleed. So the brakes are essentially done. We'll get them bled and go from there. So that's a big job knocked off the list. Got the brakes bled. The pedal is nice and stiff. It's even better than my 79. I mean, right away it's starting to lock up. So very happy with how that turned out. So the only lines that are old are the ones that run across the front axle and the ones that run out of this master here. But other than that, all the brakes are good to go. Brakes are whipped. Fuel line's done. Rear axle's done. Once I can get the parts for this front axle, it's going to be ready to drive. So hopefully in that Dana 44 video, the truck is driving. So very excited. Next step is going to be clean the truck, which you can probably notice I've done quite a bit of already, and get the interior figured out. I need to get the gauge cluster working, need to figure out what I'm doing with the front floors, maybe patch the seat, but mostly just get everything in working condition. This thing's gonna pull out of here next week, so pretty excited.